Hey, you guys, today we're going to talk about being an empath. A lot of times, if you express, I'm an empath, then immediately people start to sympathize with you or empathize with you about you being this person that's so hypersensitive that you absorb or feel everybody's emotions. I'm here to tell you that this is not a gift per se, in the sense that you are hypersensitive because you're just that way. Okay? I'm not taking it away that some people are just born sensitive. We all are, actually. But to be an empath, it means that at some point in your life, you have gone through trauma. Sometimes it's literally the way that you've grown up in your household. You may have taken on responsibility for other people. You may have been in an unpredictable environment, never knowing how maybe your parents or whoever else was in the house was going to react, respond to you. And basically, you became hypersensitive to your environment and to people around you. That means that you were trying to predict what was coming your way each time you interacted with someone. Then the other thing is that you might be been in a space of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. And basically, your hypersensitivity is there to protect you. Culturally, sometimes people will take on jobs or roles that require them to be more receptive to other people's feelings, such as a nurse, a therapist, teachers. They're expected to attune to other people's feelings all the time. In addition, in some societies, they expect women to be more feeling, more caring, more nurturing. So then we open ourselves up to being what is expected of us. We all have sensitivity because our first form of communication was through feeling. There is no language in the spirit realm where you're just trying to talk to people. There is tones, which is your energetic signature, and you can adjust your tone to communicate, to allow people to feel you or allow beings to feel you and what you're expressing in the moment. Many people adapt their sensitivity because of their environment and their need to survive. And others just become more sensitive because of their life experience or training. I've described to you guys how people become empaths. Now, let's talk about what empaths go through. There's always a mental or emotional overload because they're absorbing people's emotions, and that's basically feeling the pain as your own. This can be taxing to the physical body because not only do they feel emotion at times, sometimes they also feel pain as well. The next thing is that they can experience chronic anxiety or depression. And because they've taken on the weight of other people's feelings, it's like carrying something that's not your own. So then you become depressed, or you might have some mood disorders, mood swings, because you don't understand that what you're carrying is not even your energy. The next thing is sometimes they experience decision fatigue. They don't know what to do, which direction to take, because they are just exhausted, period. And the other is sometimes the emotional entanglement with other people's feelings can be so tangled that they lose the ability to tell what's their energy and what's someone else's. They experience relationship challenges, attracting toxic people, which can be narcissists, energetic empires, manipulators, who are often drawn to empaths because empaths are usually nurturing, very giving, and basically they're going to eat it all up. They're going to drain you of your energy because you are allowing it. Because of that nurturing instinct, a lot of times empaths are overgiving. They will sacrifice themselves, their well-being, their money, their time, their energy just to make other people happy. Another thing is that they have difficulty setting boundaries. Saying no can feel cruel to say to other people, or they don't want to hurt people, or they don't want the other person to feel betrayed. So saying no can feel uncomfortable. A lot of times they become caretakers instead of actually connecting to people. They're used to being that nurturer, that giver, and this can stem from their childhood, where when they took care of people, maybe that was a sign that somebody loved them, but maybe that person was appreciative. Maybe they felt valued or worthy. So instead of connecting with the person, really getting to know them, sharing who they are, they fall back into the role of just being a caretaker because they know that's what love looks like to them. This can lead to physical exhaustion, emotional overload that can result in headaches, chronic pain, fatigue. When they're around, like in a large crowd or gatherings, they can feel drained, just drained, not wanting to go out. It can feel like your senses are being assaulted. They have an increased sensitivity to noise, to sounds, to smell. And these things can feel louder, feel heavier to them. They can have self-identity issues where they lose themselves in others. And this means that they're so attuned to what that person is going through, what they're feeling. And this can definitely happen in relationships, that you find yourself so immersed in another person's emotions, what they're going through, that you lose yourself because it becomes all about them. The next thing is having the difficulty of making life choices. And it feels like everything becomes weighed down on you, like difficult to move, to change, to do. And then because you're so used to giving all the time, that you then feel guilty about prioritizing yourself. Basic self-care can feel like maybe you're betraying somebody, or you're taking away time from other people where you could be giving to them, when first and foremost you should be your first priority, right? As a result of all of these emotions and feelings, the person can find themselves isolated or wanting to be alone. Sometimes they want to be alone simply because they're trying to gather themselves, make themselves feel better, because they don't have to feel that hypervigilance, always scanning people's moods and trying to adjust yours accordingly, can be stressful and exhausting. Understand that these are all behaviors that are cries for love, that are a result of being a victim to some degree. And the core of actually balancing out being an empath is, for one, to get rid of victimhood. I would bet you that just about every empath is going to tell you a story about how they were a victim in their lives. Victimhood is an energetic opening that allows energies to attach, to feed off of you. It makes it easy for energetic vampires, for narcissists, even energetic beings, parasitic beings, to actually feed off of your energy. So first and foremost is to get rid of being a victim. And to do that, you have to own your story, be truthful about everything, all of the roles that you've played, the roles that other people have played in your life, and accept them as they are. Every person in your life, everything that you've experienced, because these are all experiences that you've drawn to yourself to learn about you. So get rid of being the victim by accepting. In that moment, it's going to start to close up that hole, that energetic opening. You have to do the work, address traumas. You can't run from yourself. That's another thing. Empaths sometimes are so committed to pouring out to others and doing things for others that it is a distraction at times from themselves and what they need to work on with themselves. Here's some ways to learn to protect your energy as well. You're going to learn emotional boundaries because it's not your responsibility to fix everybody, to make everybody better. You become your own priority. The next thing, energy. You can ask, is this mine? Or you can say, for example, there is sadness in my energetic field. And if it's not your energy, then that energy should immediately shift, right? You can always say, I return all things that are not energetically aligned with me to source. I return it to source. I return to my spiral. I return that energy to source. You can definitely start saying no, because no is so important, because when you have a pattern of saying yes to people and denying yourself rest, relaxation, or just prioritizing you, that people become to expect you to be available, to do, to be, and not change. Now, when you start saying no, then you can always expect some type of pushback, because they are going to push back because they don't know this version of you. But you can always tell people and warn them and say, hey, I'm going to be setting some boundaries, period. And I'm going to be saying no. And they'll have to adjust to it. And you can tell them, because I need to love myself better. I need to love myself more. The next thing is that you can practice grounding yourself on a daily basis. This can simply be you just sitting and taking a moment to do some breath work and sink yourself down into your root. You can, of course, always go in nature, because nature will always balance you out. Always balance you out. Go for a walk. Just go for a walk. No music, no headphones, no nothing. And just take in the sounds around you. This is, to me, in my opinion, is best done at a park or a nature walk, or just in a quiet environment. You can meditate. You can tone, which is basically allowing yourself to emote sounds, or just sing sounds without judgment. Just allow yourself, whatever, and let it come out. The next thing is that you want to cut ties with energetic vampires. These be people that come around you. Sometimes they want to dump on you. Sometimes they want to just pull your energy, because it can be peaceful, it can be calming, it can feel good. Sometimes people have attachments that come to feed off of you being in a highly sensitive state, pity party, whatever. There are beings that will pull your energy and feed off your energy. And adverse energies, like people who are stuck in trauma, victimhood, blame, shame, guilt, depression, sadness, grief. These are all pathways for energetic beings to siphon your energy for their benefit. Be mindful of the people that come around you, especially when you are in a sensitive state and you know that you're in a sensitive state of being, because they can feed off of you. Be mindful of that. In so many words, it's okay to be aware and to sense. We are beings and we're meant to sense. We didn't have to use language or words to communicate, because we would sense what someone feels. And to heal yourself of these things, or to start doing the work regarding being an empath and the imbalances of the empath, does not mean that you will lose your, in quotes, gift, your ability to sense that comes natural with you. It's not going anywhere. So what you can do is basically work on all of these things that I just talked about to help yourself stop over functioning and just start protecting yourself and balancing yourself out. And you will notice that you can still feel, but you're not in a space where you're being burdened about what everybody else is going through. So a healthy empath is always going to, they'll be able to feel other people's emotions without losing themselves. They'll set clear boundaries without feeling guilty. They will choose when to engage emotionally. And then they act from compassion, not from feeling like they have to or need to, that they the only person that can save this person or help this person. And then emotional energy starts to feel balanced. Here are some reminders to let you know when you are out of balance. When you absorb pain or emotions and you can't separate it from your own, you still struggle to say no. You having difficulty saying no, or you feel responsible for other people's feelings. If you're still tuning in to everybody around you, even strangers, and feel like you're pulling or picking up energy, that means you're still hypersensitive. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive, but hypersensitivity, where it feels like you can't leave your home or be around people, that's an issue. Empathy feels like it's a burden to you. If you find yourself still acting from fear of rejection, abandonment, or conflict, that you feel like that you have to bend your will for others, then you are still stuck in the imbalance aspects of being an empath. And then if you constantly feel drained or anxious, that's another thing. You are stuck in this imbalance aspect of empath. So I will that this helps you all to understand that being an empath ain't all that is cracked up to be at all. And I'll say not the negative aspects of it and how many people tend to relate to being an empath. And so you all have the ability to change it, to become more powerful as a sensitive being or a sensing being. All right, peace.